Okay, my friends, another day in Mudfossil land. I get a lot of people asking, saying, "What? Nobody can explain these. Can you explain these?" And I love that. So please send me these things. I love these kind of things. Now, so what are these things? They look like little golden balls. And what it says is this is golden fossils, and this is Yorkshire fossils. Now this is in a certain area. They find these little balls like this, and these balls are coated with this gold-looking surface, which is really pyrite, I believe. Now, listen to what he has to say. Here it goes. Yeah, they crack right open that nice and easily like that. Now, I'm not going to get too crazy. You can come up and watch this video. Obviously, we're seeing little sea creature shells. Then we see this matrix of gray, which is what? We don't know. And then we see the coating on the, you see this has like a little rind, I call it, and it's a coating that's around the edge, and then on top of that is the pyrite gold looking stuff. Now, I did a little investigation to why this could happen. Because at first it sort of struck me as a little strange, but here's why it does happen. Alright, here's the deal. Back in 2009, they used seashells to clean up heavy metals. They have all these leftover seashells. Well, they're calcium carbonate, CaCO3. And in certain areas where the pH is a certain pH and there's heavy metals, the heavy metals invade the tissue. And it is a very similar process with opals. I'm starting to understand this pretty good. Now, this is in Saigon River, Vietnam. They did this on the Ho Chi Minh City there. And the shells, what they did was the team found that pouring metal and acid-laden water, all right, so you got metal and acid-laden water over a bed of crushed clams and mussel shells provides an easy fix to this problem. The shells are made of argonite, a form of calcium carbonate, CaCO3. It rapidly swaps out its calcium atoms, your calcium atoms, in favor of heavy metals. These are the heavy metals down here. Now, locking them into a solid form. The shells are naturally basic, which means they have a base pH. When dissolved, they have a pH of 8.3. So working with, if the pH gets below 7, which is into your acidic range, they start to leach back out again and they become toxic. So what has happened is that these seashells that are embedded in that matrix were originally some big chunk, let's say, of a mat of it. And it started to break apart. And as they started to break apart and roll around, they formed these little cylinders. When the cylinders started to leach their seashell basic chemistry out, it was invaded by these molecules that are the pyrites. And here's what pyrite is all about. And what is it all about? It's a FeS2. It's iron sulfide. And they say it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And they say it's fool's gold. There's nothing to it. Well, it's cubic. It's extremely shiny, and it's embedded into matrices. Well, let's look into this a little deeper. What is this? Why is it here? What's this little... What is that all about? I know what it's about. I can tell you exactly what it's about. And here they are here. Now, I have my microscope going. You see this right here? Twin galena pyrites, whatever they call it. Then you have other ones that are just the gold-looking ones, but they're embedded into a matrix of something. And I can show you exactly what that something is. Now, we're going to be looking at this in my microscope, uno momento. And we will see a very similar situation. Now, this was in something that caused it to crystallize. What I have is not crystallized yet in exactly this same form, but not that far off. All right, this is the pyrite. You see the gold, you see the red, you see the black, you see the crystals. Well, I have one along here that's in my microscope. Whoops. Let me come up here with this. And here is what it looks like in my microscope. It's here. Now, I'll show you in a second. Now, what are we looking at? We are looking at red blood, which is the oxygenated blood. This is the deoxygenated blood in it's our vein blood. Then you see in these vugs, all these holes are what they call vugs. This is a lung. This still has a little bit of the ferrous oxide in there that's in the transition phase. This, you'll find diamond things, they call them. Now, they're not really diamonds. They start to create crystals. Now, the crystals form into whatever that type of stuff is, and usually it's quartz. So they usually form these little crystal spires and things like that. And they just think they're like diamonds. They're not really diamonds. Herkimer diamonds are this type of thing. It's quartz, but it shapes like a diamond. It has a different. Just consider it to look like a crystal. And you can see it's going to start. It would fill this out to be looking almost like a diamond. They fill these vugs. Now, that's what it is. And that would, in some cases, depending upon the pH and the temperature and the pressure and the transition metals that are in the conditions and how long it was wet for and how it dried out and all those different things, determine what crystals will form, how big they will get, how defined they become. And it's all to do with the amount of transfer of aqueous, watery, fluid solutions carrying all of these things over and over and over until one day it stops. And in the mud fossils, it's because of salts. Salts in their original flooding conditions cause the things to die and to be preserved, stabilized, and then they were flushed of that and went into clean water. It appears mine have, because they are absolutely flawless and they don't fall apart. I have friends that are on the coast of a lot of different places, and all of theirs just disintegrate. They take them in and they just fall apart. Now, this particular one here, with these gold balls, was due to apparently the chemistry of the balls attracting these heavier metals and creating a ball. Now, I have so much stuff on this, it's going to take forever, literally, to get all this stuff out. But let me just show you. We see the lung I have here. It's in this. It's right there in the microscope. We'll go look into it in a second. I have other lungs here, and then I have, I got all kinds of stuff here. We'll be looking. All right, what you're going to be looking at in a second is this lung right here. It's cut across, and this is a toe. Forget about that. That's a metallized toe. But what you're going to see up here is the lung. All right, you see it right there? Now, it gets, I'm going to have a hard time. You see how all the little different voids in there? Well, those are where the blood comes up against what normally those, where the shiny places are, would have been where the alveoli were, where the air came in. And where the blood is the reddish stuff around there, is what is passing by these. Now, you see some of them are dark color, see some of them are the reddish color. This is just what happens in the lung. You transpire or respirate, or whatever you want to call it, and take these things in. Now, this is the other side of the lung, the outside, and that's what it looks like from the outside. Yeah. All right, now, that's the metal toe. Anyway, I have a lot of stuff to show, but that's from the lungs. These are from the lungs. Now, these are not related to the fossil shells. These are actual feet from what we call the no-toes. These are the foot structure. The toes are built into the foot. This is one that's eroded quite a bit. You see how they have the fibia? They have a fibia just like we have. That's the calcaneus ball and the strap that runs up to the bone that comes up here. Exact same calcaneus ball, exact same strap, exact same saddle. The bone sits in, does exactly the same thing. However, instead of having the bones and the tendons and all the business we have, this has these double loaded springs, and then there's toes that come out here, but they're really not exposed. They're like this. And I can show this, and let me show you another one. Tish Egerton discovered these, and that's a whole nother story. 15 minutes after she took the challenge, she went out, because I said, anybody can find these in 15 minutes. She says, all right, I'm going to go out and look. She looked 15 minutes later, boom. And wait till you see this. All right, once again, this is a leg from a no-toe. This is a Tish discovery. This is not those little sea creatures. These are the springs and the assemblies that built this leg and this foot. And I've looked at it extremely carefully. Believe me, I've done a ton of different videos on this. And I can see the attachments, the springs, the latches. It was designed by somebody. And actually, Tish has one. I believe you can see a couple of metal bars or some kind of bars that are inside that I'll have to go back and look and see if I can find it. This has been years going on, but you can see the blood coming out of it. You know, and this can be tested again. Tested. It absolutely can be tested, and that is the leg of some kind of creature that was designed by some kind of other creature.